Hello guys, welcome back, and today we'll be looking at the longest common prefix problem. So the problem statement goes like this: write a function to find the longest common prefix string amongst an array of strings. If there is no common prefix, return an empty string, which is nothing but just double quotes. So we'll be given with the input of list of words, and then we have to return the common prefix out of all the words. Say for example in this it is FL because FL is common prefix in flower, flow and flight. And in the second example, here we can see that the output is double quotes because there is no common prefix. As you can see, dog and race car and car, they do not have anything in common. There is a suffix common, but then the question is common prefix. So if there's nothing common prefix out of this, then you just have to write double quotes. So we'll be using a simple concept which I found out in this Geeks for Geeks website. This is really cool. So the concept is simple. So what we do is say for example we have a list of 4 words over here: geeks for geeks, geeks, geek and geezer. So first we take the first word and then compare that with the second word. So out of these the common prefix is geeks, right? So then we take this result and then compare this with the third word, and out of geeks and geek the common prefix is geek, right? So then you keep this as the new answer and then compare this with the other word, like the fourth one, right? I mean the third one, first, second, third and fourth. So now when you check these two, geek and geezer, the common word is GEE, because after this there is a difference. K and Z, they are not common, so you end up with geek. So this is how it goes. And so we'll be writing first we'll be writing a function. Before that, let's just write double quotes for now so that the program will run. And let's just define a function for now which will return the common prefix out of 2 strings, right? Say for example the function name will be longest until, and then it will take basically 2 strings, str1 and str2. And since this is a class, we have to include the self keyword, which is nothing but the current object of this class. I mean the object of the current class, which is the class solution. And now okay, now we have 2 strings. Say for example flower and flow. First we will get the string length of that. Say for example before that, let's keep 2 counters. Since we have 2 strings, so we need 2 counters, I and j, and then we will have, say, a string called as common, which will be common prefix out of these 2 strings. So out of these 2 strings, the common will be FLO, right? FLOW, the common prefix. So after we have the pointers, and now we need the string length. So let's keep it as n1, the string length of str1, and n2 as the string length of str2, right? So we now have the string lengths of both strings. Okay, now we have to iterate till the smallest length, right? So we can just do while loop of the first counter less than the first string and the second counter less than the second string. And after this, now we have 2 pointers which is pointing to both strings. Say for the I will be pointing to str1 and j will be pointing to str2. And now it will iterate till the smallest word gets exhausted, right? Say out of these 2, it will iterate till FLOW because that's the smaller one. And now while comparing, we have to compare, say, the str1 of I. If it is equal to str2 of j, if the words are equal, then we will append it to this common string, right? So we can append either one since they are the same, and if they are not, if the words are different, that means that we have reached the end over there, end of the common prefix, where the word is not common, so we just break out of it. So after doing either one of this, we have to increment the pointers. I plus equals 1, j plus equals 1. Okay, so we have incremented pointers, and after that now we have our common string, and we'll return that. So basically this function will take two strings, and then we'll get the length of those two strings, and then we will iterate till the shortest word, shortest word, for example, out of these two is flow, so till then flow, right? 4 times it will iterate, and then we compare each string from zeroth word. We compare each word, sorry. So f with f, l with l, o with o, and w with w, and we keep on adding the common strings to common, and then we return that. Let's just test this function for now. So instead of returning this, let's just say we'll call this function, then we will pass. Okay, so before we call, we need to use the self keyword, and let's pass these two words, right? Well, let's pass the flower and flow, so we should probably get flow as the output. Let's see. Yep, we got flow, so this function is working. Now all that we have to do is we just have to repeat this function to basically the entire list. So at a time we'll take two words and then repeat it until the list gets exhausted. So first we'll do it for flower and flow, and then flow and flight, right? So it'll go that way. Okay, so before we do that, let's just get the length of the list. The list is nothing but strs, so strs, we got the length of the list. And one thing to note is, if there are 0 elements, then we just have to return double quotes, right? Because if there are no elements in the list, that means that obviously there won't be a prefix, so we will just return double quotes. Okay, so if this is not the case, then we need to iterate over this list. So before we do that, let's just take prefix. Let's just initialize this prefix to the first word. That's how we do it, right? We compare the first word with the second, and then the answer which we get out of these two with the next one. It goes on. Say the prefix will be strs of 0, and now we will just do for I in range. So when we use range to iterate over a list, we basically do it from 0 to n, I mean the length of the list. So it will iterate through all elements, but we don't want to start from 0, since we have already used the 0th element as prefix. We already have the 0th element, so one element will be less when we will be iterating. And now we will say the new value of prefix. New value of prefix will be, we will call this function, which we have used over here for testing purpose, which we will be removing right now. And okay, over here we need two things, two strings. So the first one will be the first word, which is nothing but prefix, and then the second one will be strs of I. For the first iteration, it will be str of 1. It will be nothing but flow, flowers and flow. And then after this, we'll get the new prefix out of these two, which will be flow, and then that will be sent, flow will be sent as prefix in the next iteration, and then along with that strs of 2, which is nothing but flight. So we will be comparing flow with flight, and out of those two we'll be getting fl as the result, and that will be stored in prefix. We will return that. Hopefully this will run. Okay, range range. Okay, my bad. Range should be range. Small typo over there. Longest handle is not defined. Okay, when we are calling functions in a class in Python, we have to use the self keyword. Since this function is defined, oh yeah, we got the answer for the test case. For this test case, we'll be submitting in a minute. Before that, the problem was, since this function was defined inside this class, we cannot just call it by its name. We need the object of this class, for which we can use the self keyword, right? So let's submit and let's see. Yep. So we got our result over here. So it worked for all test cases. It used 13.8 MB of memory and 64 ms. We can decrease this by making some changes over here, where it depends on the len function sometimes. So yeah, I used to get around 40. I did get 40 ms in some of the iterations previously, but then this is it for our problem. It's a common prefix. Hope you understood and learned something new. And till then, see you in the next one.